Hi, good people. Thank you so much for tuning in to another What Else is Going On, aka We Go Podcast YouTube video. I'm your girl, your host, Taria. I just want to take a minute to thank y'all so much. Oh, let me fix this. There we go. I just want to take a minute to thank y'all so much for those of you that have started with me with this YouTube journey into now and people that are new coming on. I appreciate y'all so much for just even engaging with the video, commenting. 99.9% has not been disrespectful. Those we just block and keep it moving. But I appreciate the discourse, whether we agree or disagree. I appreciate it. I always want this to feel like a safe space for people commenting. I want it to feel like a community. So I truly, truly appreciate those of y'all who are rocking with me. Like I said, both from the beginning till now. I'm new at the YouTube thing. I've been podcasting for 8 years, but I am new over on this side of things. So I really, truly appreciate y'all helping me cultivate this into a community atmosphere. So, and if you have not, if you found me through YouTube, if you don't know, I have a podcast. So please head on over to wherever it is you listen to podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, type in What Else is Going On. You will see me. And please give it a follow or subscribe to it. Certain platforms you follow, certain platforms I believe you subscribe. I would really, really appreciate that. It helps continue to grow the platforms to kind of get me to where I want to be. So I appreciate y'all. I came to y'all to talk about some quick topics. For those of y'all that are new, I do a lot of gig work. Took myself off the road an hour ago and came and made this very video that I'm making now. But again, I put a link in. I played something that I should not have played. This time, YouTube didn't let it pass. When I did my video on Friday, I talked about it. And I think YouTube was just giving me trouble. And it eventually let me put up my original video after making a different one, right? This time they said, we're not letting it pass. So I will put the link for it in the description box and I will let y'all know exactly what that is when I get to it. So instead of getting up, going back out on the road, I said, sit you behind here and make the video again. So here I am. All right, let's get into the topics. First up, let's talk about Janet Jackson. So I came to y'all this past weekend, right? We talked about Janet, her interview with The Guardian. In the interview, let's get into what she was asked and what she said. So, wait a minute, let me get into it. It was right here. Child, I'm scrolling so fast. Okay, here we go. Because I got, you know how you have more than one article going on at once. So the Guardian interviewer asked Janet basically how she felt about they're getting ready to be the possibility of a Black woman as president. Janet said she's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian, which is repeating a false right-wing conspiracy theory, which to me, when I heard what Janet's remarks were, I immediately thought of Trump and his trumpets, because that's their talking point. She said her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white. And I remember at the time thinking, like, Janet, just like Google anything. And I don't think she should be like, oh, we're done with her, off with her head. Because there's a way to call out and call in. You know what I mean? Everything doesn't have to be a level 10. But I do believe we can talk about these things, whether we love these folks, we talk about, we're fans of these folks. We can talk about this stuff for sure, right? So she made those comments. And I do believe that The Guardian, from what I know of The Guardian, it's a reputable source, because I know there were some comments that maybe this wasn't real, but The Guardian is a pretty reputable source. From what I know, there may have been some things that they weren't on, I don't know it all, but I do believe it's a very reputable source. So she comes out, she says that people have their feelings about it, right? One particular person, before I get into the apology that was made on her on Janet's behalf, I want to talk about D.L. Hughley, because like I said, we can call out and call in. We can say people should be held accountable for the things that they say, what have you. But I do believe it doesn't always have to be off with someone's head. So D.L. Hughley came out after Janet saying that about her father. And look, again, I understand because it has been such a heavy talking point on the other side. It's like, why are we even bringing that over here? You know, I have an esthetician who is, when I go see her, I've been seeing her since like when things opened after the pandemic, you can start going back. So I see her maybe once or twice a year. And I really like her. She's Indian, and her sister that owns. Yeah, I'm sorry if y'all hear that. You know, like the big trucks that you hear when they back up the beach. My husband drives one of those trucks for work, and I'm hearing it now. In the community we live in, they don't want it visible, so he can't park it in front of the house. But I think I hear it, but it could be just a different work truck. But I'm like, I hope they don't hear that. But anyway, um, yeah, so I can understand being upset about the things she said. Oh, and my esthetician, she's of Indian descent. And she was telling me how folks in her community were upset because Kamala identified as Black, and they wanted her to be more like, I'm Indian and I'm Black. But she identified as a Black woman, because there is a lot of talk that, since when is Kamala Black? I have seen footage of her before she even entered the vice president stage, where she talked about being Black. We know that she went to an HBCU. She pledged a Black sorority, but we know that white folks or non-Black folks do those same things, right? So that's not the be all end all to prove your Blackness. But Kamala has talked about being a Black woman for a very long time that I have seen with my own eyes. So this is why I say it's important for us to do our research. Y'all know I say it over and over again on this platform. No matter who you vote for, you need to do your research and not just go by rhetoric, which brings me back to D.L. Hughley. So D.L. was upset about Janet's comments about Kamala, right? About, not being Black. So he started tweeting. He said, hashtag Janet Jackson's interview sounded like a hashtag Trump rally. FYI, it's a little ironic to question whether someone is Black while you're breathing through the nose of a white woman. Hashtag Team DL. All I know is hashtag Kamala looks like she did when she was in Oakland, but Janet don't look like she did when she was Penny. What the hell was in that iron? Then he said, hashtag Kamala Harris looks the way she does because she has a mom from India and a dad from Jamaica. Hashtag Janet Jackson looks the way she does because she has a plastic surgeon. Team DL. Now look. Again, I get being like, Janet, come on, ma'am. Like a simple Google search, what have you, right? It was a bit irresponsible to say that, just repeating. Some things I think it's like, okay, why did we even have to talk about it? Like, what was the interviewer thinking when he asked her that? I wonder. Probably thinking she was going to be like, oh, it would be great, what have you, whatever. But anyway, I understand you not agreeing with Janet saying, but to me, I felt like those tweets were a bit much, considering D.L. Hughley himself came out and apologized to Kamala at the DNC. Why? Because he was repeating rhetoric that he did not know to be fact, but he was repeating stuff he heard. So I would think there would be a little bit more grace, if you will, coming for him if he decided he was going to use his platform to speak on what Janet said about Kamala. I would think there would be a little bit more care with the conversation, because he says about Trump, criticizing the former president's bizarre questioning of Harris's Blackness. DL said Kamala's been Black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican. Haha, whatever. But then he gets up there and says, he apologized for his past criticisms based on assumptions about Kamala's record. He recounted a meeting with Kamala Harris at her house where she challenged him to do some research on her record. Imagine attacking someone's character without a single Google search. I believe that your apology should be as loud as your accusation, and I'm here apologizing in front of the whole damn world. I was wrong, and I'm so very glad I was wrong, because Kamala, you give me hope for the future. So he apologized for misrepresenting Kamala Harris's record with Black men, about locking up Black men, which is something that is also being talked about. But see, he didn't do his research. He just listened to what was being talked about and used his big old platform. And he continued peddling this stuff that was false. The information is out there. You can look up her record. it's not what people make it seem to be, right? So I bring D.L. Hughley into it to say, Janet said what she said, and we're all like, Janet, you can Google what have you. D.L. then comes out on his huge platform with all these tweets about Janet that were a little bit like, sir, do we really got to go that hard? Again, you can call her out and call her in at the same time without doing what you did. But he did the exact same thing. Yes, he did apologize, which I think was good. Take accountability for the things, that you said, what have you. Because a lot of people wouldn't apologize. They would just move on. And he knows he has a huge platform. So kudos to him for apologizing. But I just thought it was funny, or ironic, rather, not even funny, that he's calling out Janet. And it's like, dude, you kind of did the same thing. But anyway, back to Janet and what she said. So after Janet said those things in her interview with The Guardian, a rep, and I'm doing quotes for Janet, named Mo El-Masari, comes out and says, Janet Jackson would like to clarify her recent comments. She recognizes that her statements regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity were based on misinformation. Janet respects Harris's dual heritage as both Black and Indian and apologizes for any confusion caused. She values the diversity Harris represents and understands the importance of celebrating that in today's society. Right? Now, mind you, before I get into what I'm getting into next, he has spoken out on Janet's behalf with something else, and I just looked it up and just that quick. Forgot, I should have kept the article up. But basically, he spoke out on behalf of Janet and her camp. Her camp then comes out, confirms what he says, but never addresses him. Never says, Mr. El-Masari has come out and spoke on Janet's behalf and blah, blah, blah. They never did that. They just confirmed what this person already knew and had already said. But this time, they spoke out against him. They said an actual rep for Jackson told People on Sunday that El-Masari issued an unauthorized statement and was not the pop star's manager, nor was he affiliated with her camp. The rep also said her brother, Randy Jackson, manages the 5-time Grammy winner. So they're saying now he's not affiliated with Janet and he was not authorized to make that comment. He's spoken out and said, Janet Jackson fired me due to the disagreements between me, her, and Randy Jackson after her meeting with The Guardian and her unbalanced statements. He claimed to be the Rhythm Nation singer's manager. This is what he told the Daily Beast via email. That's all I can say. When he was asked for further comment, he said he could not receive phone calls due to the large number of calls. All support to Kamala Harris, he told the outlet. So I think it's interesting. They didn't, her rep, after coming out saying, hey, this guy Mo El-Masari made an unauthorized comment. He has no association with the camp, even though he's been associated with her camp in the past. They didn't come out and say, by the way, Janet never said that. The Guardian is lying. So I do believe she said it, but I don't even believe she was trying to be malicious. I just believe she repeated what she heard. I'm wondering who told her that. But she knows now, I guess. She definitely probably knows. Now, one article I read said sources say Randy and Janet had a conversation and decided just to let it blow over and not address it. So then he comes out and addresses, and it's like, wait a minute. He wasn't authorized to do that. So who knows? Shout out to Kamala Harris. Again, people, no matter who you're voting for, do your research. This is too critical of an election not to. All of them really are, no matter what level. So do your research. Moving on, y'all. What have we been talking about lately? Diddy, of course, right? So this is according to People. Sean Diddy Combs has briefly spoken to his children from jail as they're in shock over charges. This is from a source exclusive. The music mogul and father of 7 was arrested on September 16th and remains behind bars after pleading not guilty. As Sean Diddy Combs awaits trial from behind bars, he's been limited to brief contact with his 7 children. Combs, 54, is currently in jail after he was arrested on September 16th and charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He pleaded not guilty, but has been denied bail twice. A source with knowledge of the situation tells People that the music mogul, who is dad to sons Quincy, 33, Justin, 30, and Christian, 26, and daughters Chance, 18, Jesse, and Delilah, 17, and Love, 23 months, has been able to speak briefly to family members and his children via phone. He is concerned about his kids and their well-being, the insider says. He has 3 minor children, 2 of whom now have no living parent available with him being incarcerated. Like, when I thought about that, 2 of his children now don't have access to either parent, because one was taken out allegedly by his design, allegedly, and he is in jail. 4 of his 7 children have neither parent available with him incarcerated. Combs, who has maintained his innocence, shared Christian, Jesse, and Delilah with model and actress Kim Porter, who died in 2018 at age 47. Quincy was Porter's son with Albie Shore, and Combs later adopted him. Justin is Combs' son with Misa Hilton, while Chance is Sarah Chapman's daughter. The youngest, Love, was born to Donna Tran in October 2022. A second insider close to the family says that the Combs kids are in a state of crisis and shock following their father's arrest. It's heartbreaking to see the children in the state they're in, the source says. This is their father. But to them, he's not Diddy, he's dad. He has always been a loving, devoted father. I'm going to say this. Allegedly, he took Kim Porter out, who is the mother of some of these children. So you can't be that much of a loving, devoted father if you allegedly took out the mother of your children. But not even because I don't want to negate that. However, I do feel for his children. My heart just goes out to them and what they're dealing with. Now, one of his children, I believe, is it Justin, who was recently hit with a lawsuit along some of the same lines of his father. Anyway, again, it's just horrible all around for the victims. You know, not only did you destroy their lives and leave them with emotional scarring and maybe some physical scarring, but then look what you've done to your family. It doesn't just affect you. You know what I'm saying? Your actions. I used to tell my kids all the time, your actions never just affect you. Period. They don't. So again, just my heart goes out to his children that are really being affected by this. Speaking of Diddy, let's get into Khloe Kardashian. So the reason I had to redo the video is because I had played a link from an old episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I will put the link in the description box. I promise I won't forget. But I suspect with this Diddy being arrested and get ready to go to trial on all this, of course, right, everyone's talking about it. And I believe a lot of resurfaced Diddy interviews about Diddy, articles, they're all going to come out. Songs, right, that are now being decoded. I believe they're all coming to the forefront again. But Khloe Kardashian spoke out in one of the Keeping Up with the Kardashian episodes. Khloe Kardashian gave some insight into Sean Diddy Combs' wild parties in a clip from Keeping Up with the Kardashians that has resurfaced amid the rapper's ex-trafficking arrest. This is according to Page Six. The Good American founder, now 40, recalled attending one of Diddy's star-studded parties on an episode of the E! Reality series titled Secrets of a Double Life, which aired on August 17th, 2014. So who was with you this weekend? Khloe's sister Courtney asked while organizing a closet in the throwback scene. A bunch of my friends, Khloe coyly replied, prompting Courtney to list off the names of several celebrities. So Courtney was saying, so when Courtney said, who was there, Khloe says, a bunch of my friends, and Courtney says, Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber, French Montana. Khloe says, so far, so good, before asking Courtney if she knew half the people she was naming. Courtney said no, to which Khloe said, good. Then Courtney, Khloe, and Malika end up bowling. And Khloe, they're all there. Khloe's tired. And Courtney says to Malika, Khloe hasn't been to bed yet. Khloe says, I haven't been to bed. I got off a plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, I think half the people were butt naked. She had come from a Diddy party. She says again, I haven't gone to bed yet. I got off the plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, I think half the people were butt naked. She then points to Malika and says, you would have loved it, which makes me wonder. Later on, did Malika go to some of the Diddy parties? Is she on tape? Courtney seemingly, so then Courtney, seemingly unfazed by Khloe's comments on party or stripping down at the bash, then turned to Malika to ask if she had met her sister's new crew of friends at the party. Darn it. Come on. Okay. So again, Courtney, like they said, seemed very unfazed at her saying half the folks were butt naked at the party. Asked Malika, have you met any of Khloe's new friends? So Malika says, no. Well, kind of. To which Khloe jumped in and said, stop talking. When Malika tried defending herself, telling Khloe that she hadn't revealed anything, the clothing designer again ordered her friend to stop talking. If y'all click on the link that I'm going to put in for y'all to watch, they cut that part off of the episode. That part where where Courtney asked Malika, have you met Khloe's new friends? And Malika goes to say something and Khloe shuts it down and is like, stop talking. So I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, Khloe said the people was stripping down. Now, so here's my question. At the venue, was there a room where people could get naked, or were people just stripping down where they were? So you may get a plate of past apps and titties on the side. Like, I'm wondering, tell me there was an area for that. Tell me. And there weren't just bare behinds sitting on sofas and white chairs. And then you get up and then somebody else come down and sit in that eating a past app. Again, are we passing apps, titties, tail? Like, that's a lot. Maybe there was a certain area. And because people, and maybe each party was different. And maybe freak offs were different from the parties. But then people have said that they were at these parties and other things were going on in a different part of the house. So are people just the people that get naked? Do they just go back and forth between the main party and the room party? Like, what was happening? I suspect a lot more people, like I said, a lot more resurfaced interviews and shedding light on these parties are going to come out, definitely. Speaking of resurfaced things, let's get into Ashton Kutcher now. Ashton Kutcher was on the show Hot Ones. Do y'all watch that show where there's a host and he has the guests eat hot wings and they get hotter. Some of my favorites have been Viola Davis, Halle Berry was funny. Kevin Hart's was actually funny too. Gordon Ramsay, he was really funny. Ashton Kutcher was on in 2019 and they spoke about Diddy. Let's get into this. This is according to Page 6. Also, Ashton Kutcher refuses to discuss Sean Diddy Combs' parties in resurfaced interview. I've got a lot I can't tell. So let me see. So as the host is asking him about it, he says, I've got a lot I can't tell. So he adds before sighing and pausing. Can't tell that one either. I'm actually cycling through them. Diddy party stories, man. That was some weird memory lane thing. Kutcher and Combs co-hosted the Producers Annual White Party in 2009 to raise awareness for Malaria No More. However, there is no indication that Kutcher or any of the celebrities who attended Combs parties over the years were involved in any illegal activities. Though he evaded the topic of the Bad Boy Records founders' epic events, the That 70s Show star was keen on talking about their bizarre friendship. Bizarre is in quotes. According to Kutcher, it all began when Combs, 54, told the former Punk'd host that he was forbidden from pranking him. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's on the table. To which Ashton said that Puffy responded, not me. I'm off the table. He said, so that's how their conversation started. The father of two explained that he and the hip hop star became fast friends who used to hang out and watch football together. Kutcher said Combs once came over to his house just before Ashton was about to go for a run. So Diddy was like, oh, I'll go for a run with you. Adding that about halfway through their jog, Diddy confessed that he was running out of gas. Kushner then claimed that while surrounded by paparazzi, Diddy asked him to slow down inconspicuously so it wouldn't look like he couldn't finish this thing. He was losing it, right? Like, he was like me right now with these wings and the heat starting to kick up. The actor said that Diddy was so upset over his athletic performance that he decided to run the New York City Marathon that same year. And so he just started immediately training for the New York City Marathon. Ashton explained, saying that the musician just can't lose. Even when he's that close to humility, it becomes a driver. Reps for Kushner could not immediately be reached for Page Six's request for comment. What stuck out to me in that, outside of course, he said he wasn't going to talk about Diddy, and some of the memories were wild. Diddy coming over to the house, Ashton's get ready to go for a run. Ashton runs. Clearly, Diddy does not run, right? But hey, I'm going to go for a run with you. He starts losing steam. And when the paparazzi surrounds them, or when they see the paparazzi, Diddy tells him, slow down, but inconspicuously, because I don't want it to look like I can't do this thing. And then was so upset with his non-running abilities at that point, knowing that he was deficient in those abilities, because clearly he knew he didn't run, right? Or at least not like that. He then says, I'm going to do the New York City Marathon. He went, which clearly he got in because he was a celebrity, because New York is one that you have to qualify for, right? Because I've run 3 half marathons in the Baltimore Marathon, and that's one that can qualify you to get to like the New York City Marathon. So he decides to go straight for the marathon and what stuck out to me was Ashton saying, he just can't lose. And it's like, well, who were you racing? Was it him against him? Or was it, even though it was just Ashton, he can run, I can't. I'm about to run the marathon. I'm about to do more than any of these runners do, these average runners do. And then he says, even when he's that close to humility, it becomes a driver. I just thought that was really interesting. He can't lose. And we've heard that often throughout this Diddy stuff, that he needed to be in control, so I wonder if he in any of them videos. Is you and Mila in the videos? Okay. Moving on to the last story. Let's talk about T.I. and Tiny. Bring them out. Bring them out. So according to TMZ Hip Hop, T.I. and Tiny score $71 million award in court. Don't steal our intellectual property. T.I. and Tiny emerged victorious in their lawsuit against toy company MGA Entertainment. And if the award stands, the couple will be a whole lot richer as a result. A jury awarded the music duo a whopping $71 million after their weeks-long trial wrapped up Monday, after finding MGA violated the intellectual property rights of their teen pop group, OMG Girls, according to Rolling Stone magazine. The jurors reportedly agreed that LOL Surprise, OMG Dolls, infringed on the trade dress and misappropriated the name. Yeah, because they called themselves LOL Surprise, OMG Dolls, and the group was OMG Girls. So anyway, they ruled that the jurors reportedly agreed that it infringed on the trade dress and misappropriated the name, image, and likeness of an all-female group that T.I. and Tiny formed in 2009. At trial, T.I. and Tiny zeroed in on 7 dolls. MGA promoted that they argued had the identical appearance of their OMG Girls during very specific public events, including the image and likeness of Tiny's oldest daughter, Zanique Pullins, who was in the group. Following the verdict, Tiny celebrated their big win outside the federal courthouse in Santa Ana, California. In an Instagram live video, Tiny, which I would play, but Tiny said she and T.I. did this for the city and for the culture, noting that it was one hell of a court battle, which began in 2020. She ended by saying that they couldn't be happier and thanking the jurors, who awarded them $17.9 million in compensatory damages and $53.6 million in punitive damages. So look, after 4 years of fighting, they have won their lawsuit. Listen, we know T.I. and Tiny got a lot going on, okay, outside of this. They recently won a lawsuit against a woman Was it because some stuff that she was saying and it was found that not to be true or something like that? But either way, this is like the second lawsuit they've now won. I believe this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year that they won that lawsuit. Either way, in the beginning of the article, they said that if the judgment stands, right? So if the award stands, the couple will be a whole lot richer, $71 million. So look, if the MGA Entertainment Company copied them and it messed with their intellectual property, all of that, shout out to them for winning and being awarded the judgment. We'll see if they get their money. Again, congratulations. So y'all let me know what y'all think about T.I. and Tiny and their judgment. What y'all think about Ashton Kutcher and his resurfaced Hot Ones. I was going to say interview, but he kind of interviews them while they're trying to eat these hot behind wings. And talking about Diddy. And like I said, to me, it gave me even more insight or lended credence to people saying he had the mentality of he just won't lose. You know, he's going to be on top. Let me know what y'all think about that. The resurfaced Keeping Up with the Kardashian clip where Khloe said half the folks was butt naked, y'all, bucket naked. Diddy finally being able to talk to his children, says a source. And this gentleman coming out to apologize on behalf of Janet, who's her rep, not her rep, and DL Hughley, and how he came at Janet. For me, that was not necessary. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I love y'all so much. Make sure you check out my latest podcast episode with Noor from the Reality Is podcast. We talk all things Salt Lake City. We called it, no, I'm sorry, not Salt Lake City. We talk all things the Real Housewives of Orange County. White on white lady crime. All right, y'all, let me know what y'all think. Don't forget, you can watch it on YouTube or go over to wherever it is you listen to your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon podcasts, all those things, and either follow or subscribe to the podcast. Thank y'all again for y'all support. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all so much. Say a prayer for me as I go back out in these streets picking up these folks. Talk to y'all later. See ya.